Welcome to Cascadia-coast-news. It is October 24th. Okay, so United States just hit $38 trillion in debt. Actually, it's a little bit more than $38 trillion. That's a lot of damn money. I mean, how is our government supposed to ever pay back $38 trillion? And why in the hell are they borrowing money in the first place? Shouldn't they be making their own money backed by gold? I got a Federal Reserve documentary coming out here. I'm trying to get it out before the end of the month. That's one thing that I've been doing behind the scenes is I got quite a few documentaries coming out that will be going to my channel. So be looking out for that when it does. But if you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps the YouTube algorithm. And honestly, it helps it to where viewers like you actually get truthful news. I know there's a lot of other channels out there. I get that. But I have zero to gain from doing any of these videos. I am doing it for you all because you guys deserve to know the truth on what's really happening behind the scenes with our government and around the world. So we're going to go to another site here real quick before I read this article. It's usdebtclock.org, and this is a real-time tool to look at the debt of the United States. So right now it says we're $38 trillion in debt, which is a lot of money. But this ain't our true debt, right? The true debt is... No, that ain't it. Where's it at? I saw it on here before. It's like $189 trillion or some crap. But this is our U.S. national debt. This ain't all of our debt. This is just national debt. So if you look at some of these figures, so they say debt per citizen right over here, and then debt per taxpayer. So this is what I don't get. So it's $110,000, and then $327,000 for the debt per taxpayer. So is this on top of the debt per citizen? I don't get it. But I know I have not borrowed $110,000, dude. I don't owe no $110,000. I don't have any debt, to tell you the truth, because I'm not stupid enough to create debt for myself. But obviously they think that we owe this much money, so who do we owe it to? That will be coming out in future videos, so be looking out for that. I mean, you can go over here and check this out. This is just ridiculous, man. And here's something I figured out too. So if you go to the Fed fiat dollar, it says dollar loss in value. Since 1913, it's lost 96.23% of its value. So the dollar, $1 bill, is worth like pretty much nothing, a couple pennies. 96% is lost of its value since 1913. So we're going to go over here and we're going to read this article. It's from PBS News. And it's, U.S. hits $38 trillion in debt after the fastest accumulation of $1 trillion outside of the pandemic. Because during the pandemic, we accumulated like $2 trillion, maybe $3 trillion in debt. Which I have another documentary coming out entitled Pandemic and Why. Why did the pandemic happen? Well, if you are awake, you understand why the pandemic happened. And it happened because it was a test run for the One World Order, which is coming, I believe, for 2032. Anyways, Washington AP. In the midst of a federal government shutdown, the U.S. government's gross national debt surpassed $38 trillion Wednesday, a record number that highlights the accelerating accumulation of debt on America's balance sheet. It's also the fastest accumulation of $1 trillion in debt outside of the COVID-19 pandemic. The U.S. hit $37 trillion in gross national debt in August of this year. The $38 trillion update is found in the latest Treasury Department report, which logs the nation's daily finances. Kent Smetters of the University of Pennsylvania Penn Wharton budget model, who served in President George W. Bush's Treasury Department, told the Associated Press that a growing debt load over time leads ultimately to higher inflation, eroding Americans' purchasing power. The Government Accountability Office outlined some of the impacts of rising government debt on Americans, including higher borrowing costs for things like mortgages and cars, lower wages from businesses, having less money available to invest, and more expensive goods and services. And they say that, food prices have gone up like 3%. I think it's higher than that, honestly, because you cannot buy as much as you used to. I mean, it's ridiculous, especially when they're charging like maybe between $13 and $18 for a pound of beef. It just depends on what kind of beef you're buying. I think a lot of people want to know that their kids and grandkids are going to be in good, decent shape in the future. I, for one, am not optimistic about their future at all. That they will be able to afford a house, Smetters said. That additional inflation compounds and erodes consumer purchasing power, he said, making it less possible for future generations to achieve home ownership goals. And that's what they want. What did Klaus Schwab say? You will own nothing and you will be happy. You will own nothing and be happy. Horrible impression, but that's kind of what he sounded like. The Trump administration says its policies are helping to slow government spending and will shrink the nation's massive deficit. A new analysis by the Treasury Department official states that from April to September, the cumulative deficit totaled $468 billion. In a post on X Wednesday, Secretary Scott Bessent said that that's the lowest since the reading in 2019. During his first 8 months in office, President Trump has reduced the deficit by $350 billion compared to the same period in 2024 by cutting spending and boosting revenue. White House spokesman Kush Desai, I don't know how you say it, said in a statement, adding that the administration would pursue robust economic growth, lower inflation, tariff revenue, lower borrowing costs, and cuts to waste, fraud, and abuse. Which, if you want to see some massive fraud, go over to the Department of Defense and look at their waste and fraud. I'll be doing a video on that here pretty soon. The Joint Economic Committee estimates that the total national debt has grown by 69,713.82 per second. That's a lot. That's every second. 69,000, pretty much $70,000 every second of the day. It grows. Michael Peterson, chair and CEO of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, said in a statement that reaching $38 trillion in debt during a government shutdown is the latest troubling sign that lawmakers are not meeting their basic fiscal duties. They're not doing anything. And I think the reason they're shut down is because they're trying to cause panic with the people who receive like SNAP benefits and WIC and things like that. I seriously think that. I think that they're trying to create a problem So they can come in and say, here we are to rescue you. Here's your beans. We spent $4 trillion on interest over the last decade, but we'll spend $14 trillion in the next 10 years. Interest costs crowd out important public and private investments in our future, harming the economy for every American. They don't care about the American. They don't. It's obvious. The U.S. hit $34 trillion in debt in January of 2024, $35 trillion in July 2024, and $36 trillion in November of 2024. So, this $38 trillion, they're not going to be able to repay it. And eventually the economy is gonna go bust. What's going to happen is they're either going to have to declare bankruptcy, or they're just going to have to make a new system. And I think the new system is what they want. But I have more content coming up here pretty soon. This Cascadia Coast News signing out.